Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Update on the Joey Marsh League Network, the only network where you can get 24/7 tips and advice on your league once a week. Welcome back, Ben.
Thank you.
What do you think? Crazy week, huh?
I'd say.
This episode is brought to you by Arm & Hammer Baking Soda. Cutting your cocaine since probably around the 80s. And with that, let's get right into it. The recaps of last week. We'll start off with our game of the week. It was pretty great watching this unfold, if I do say so myself. Team McMahon got 114.9 against Christ on a Bike, 91 points. And I knew he could do it. D'Angelo Williams, he had 21.2 points. Not quite as many points as he had the previous week, but still a lot of points. He did a great job. Denver defense scored 23.2 points with an interception, a fumble, and 2 touchdowns.
That's a good showing from the Denver D right there. Christ on a Bike didn't have it this week. I really thought he could pull it off, but John, once again, making me look like an idiot for picking you on TV, so thanks for that. However, I think there were some bright spots for Team Christ on a Bike. Matt Forte had a huge game. 3 touchdowns on Thursday night. Really fun to watch. Really has to be an exciting prospect for Coach John Keller. I'd say with superstars like Matt Forte and Greg Olsen at the helm, look for Christ on a Bike to make a deep run this playoff season.
True. And I'll have to agree with you. You did look like an idiot. All right, and let's move on to our next matchup. Brown versus Board of Education versus Julio Gunacal. Julio Gunacal got 119.1 points to 92.6. It was another great showing by Chris. Tyrod Taylor led the team with 24.4 points, and CJ Anderson is starting to show that last year wasn't just a fluke. He could certainly be a great running back. Julio Jones also showed up big with 19 points. Chris has quite the spooky team, if I do say so myself.
I will say. It scares me for sure. I definitely got a full force of the fright week 1, so I feel your pain there, Mark. But, hey, fans of Brown versus Board of Education, no need to panic here. It's just an off week. Happens to everyone. I'd say look for stars, Antonio Brown, to carry the team moving forward here. And with Aaron Rodgers coming on to a 4-game homestand at Lambeau, look for him to light it up as well. He's going to be scary the next month, so definitely look out for that. All right, moving along, we have Dak and Decker over Ben's Burgers. Team Dak and Decker, really encouraging performance this week. The wideouts really showing why they came through top dollar in the draft for me, and I'm really looking for this pass-happy offense to move forward and make strides and hopefully get that team into the playoffs.
Yeah, you had a great win. It was a good showing by your team. And while Mike had strong performances by Jordy, Larry Fitz, and David Johnson, he was hung out to dry by his kicker, Hauschka, who only scored 3 points, as well as the Jets' defense, which scored 0 points. You know, they say defense wins championships, and that certainly was shown this week. Mike may be 0-2, but he's put up a strong performance both weeks, and I think his team will start to turn around soon.
I agree.
All right, in our next matchup, it's Miller time with 116.7 points against Morning Woodhead with 70.6 points. You know that sound? It means it's the blowout of the week. My team had another solid showing this week. Latavius Murray made the case that he deserves to be considered an elite running back.
Absolutely.
And Delaney Walker as well as Marvin Jones came in big as well with strong performances, helping me coast to an easy win.
Yeah, and hey, adding insult to injury, literally here, Morning Woodhead losing its signature player, Danny Woodhead, for the season, torn ACL. Just a shame to see. Such an exciting player, along with the big dog. Purple Jesus, AP, going down with the torn meniscus. Looks like he'll be out probably a couple weeks here. You know, an 0-2 start, some key injuries. Some fans may start to panic here. I think they really need to rely on Melvin Gordon moving forward to lift this team and hopefully get something together and put some W's on the board.
I think that's some good advice.
All right, next matchup, OBJYN over Why Did I Draft Golden Tate, 120.5 to 103.4. Really nice bounce back win for Team OBJYN this week. Finally got to do a little pounding of his own there, so that's always good to see. You have your superstars performances from Matty Ice, LeGarrette Blount, really lifting this team to an easy win over Why Did I Draft Golden Tate.
You know, the veteran Carson Palmer put up a good fight for Joey's team, scoring 24.3 points, as well as Kelvin Benjamin, who got 26.3, but it just wasn't quite enough to get the win. I'm sure Joey would like a little more than 5 points from Eddie Lacy and 3.5 points from Doug Baldwin, so we'll see if they start to pick up the pace in the weeks to come.
Yeah, that's definitely not why Joey drafted those guys. He definitely needs a bigger performance out of those guys moving forward.
Yeah. All right, our last matchup. It's Zeke Alik versus this Girlies on Fire. Zeke Alik scored 79.7 points versus 77.1. And Zeke Alik certainly doused Girlies Fire this week.
I'll say.
Well, this wasn't a high-scoring matchup. Nick showed a lot of heart pouring through to get this win. Ezekiel Elliott and Elshon Jeffrey each scored double digits. And while that's not a ton, it's enough to get a win this week.
Yep, I got to hand it to Team Zeke Alik. Really eking out a close one there over this Girlies on Fire. Really just a rough showing for John Brown's team here. Top pick Gurley really needs to pull himself out of the dumpster fire that is the LA Rams and really just establish himself as the elite running back that John hoped him to be when he drafted him. So let's look for that moving forward. And with this win, or with this loss, I'll say, this Girlies on Fire is this week's fuck up of the week. John could have started any one of either Frank Gore, Sterling Shepard, Travis Benjamin, or CJ2K to come away with a win over Nick this week. I mean, he only had to overcome 79.7 points. Couldn't get it done. Just really big fuck up all around here. It could have just been any one of those players, and it would have been a victory for him. So
Yeah.
You
done fucked up.
All right, and that'll bring us to our next segment. After a short break here, stay tuned for an exclusive interview with this week's Coach of the Week, as well as Week 2 Power Rankings. Stick around.
Good enough.
Sometimes life isn't what we expect it to be. We get the job, we go to work, and we try, but we never reach the point we want to. We don't feel happy. Are you tired of feeling this way? Well, try crack cocaine. I mean, people are still using it, so it can't be that bad. Right?
And welcome back to the Fantasy Update on the Joey Marsh League Network. It's time for my favorite segment, Coach of the Week. This week's segment brought to you by Malalua Nuts, a taste of the tropics. Not as hot and sweaty as you might think. All right, moving right along. First part of this week's segment, we have our coach who's on the hot seat. That's going to be Jeremiah Schaefer, coach of Team Morning Woodhead. Just an abysmal performance this week from Coach Jerry Schaefer. A 69% efficiency rating. Just not going to cut it if you want to win games in this league. Too many points left on the bench there. However, I can't fault the guy too much. He dealt with some key injuries to Danny Woodhead and Adrian Peterson. I look for him to turn it around next week. But that brings us to our man of the hour, Mr. Mike Lai, the Coach of the Week, coming through with the league's first 100% efficiency rating this week. Really great showing from Mike Lai. He didn't come away with the win, unfortunately, but he's making all the right moves. He's just got to wait for his players to step up. I look for Team Mike Lai to make a deep playoff run with this coaching ability he has. And now I got to sit down with the man, pick his brain, the moment you've all been waiting for, an exclusive interview with Mr. Mike Lai. take a listen. And I'm here with your coach of the week, Mr. Mike Lai, coming into the studio, agreed to answer a couple of questions for us. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Good to see you, champ.
All right, moving right along here. I'd like to say congratulations on a great week 2. You really set the standard for coaching here in our league. The first 100% coaching efficiency rating. Really impressive stuff. And, I think right off the bat, for all those aspiring coaches out there, what's the deal? What are the tips and tricks to make it to the next level?
I'll tell you what, Ben. I'm not in the business of individual awards. I'm a GM in the Joy Marsh Fantasy League 2 years in a row. I think my resume speaks for itself. I'm in the business of getting wins, and our team really just hasn't been putting up those numbers lately. We're going to work on our execution and practice, and we're really going to outperform in our next week.
All right, there you have it from the always humble Mike Lai. Good stuff. All right, right along here, despite your ability as a coach, your team sitting at 0-2. Pretty tough. Can I beer you? It's a pretty tough circumstance here. I'd probably use a drink if I was you.
I probably shouldn't. I don't know if Roger's watching or not.
All right, well, I'll suck one down here for you then. All right, well, anyway, moving right along here. You're 0-2. Your ability as a coach, clearly the real deal. Who are you looking for on the player side to move your team forward?
Well, I'll tell you what. We were Team Mike Lai week 1, and the owner decided, why not make one of our players the brand name? So Ben's Burgers came along, threw 3 touchdowns, but I'm really going to need more of a performance out of him. He's a poster boy. He's on our logo. He's on all of our marketing. So he's really going to have to step it up. I've been looking in the waiver wire. Sam Bradford up in Minnesota. They're doing really good things up there. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but he shouldn't get comfortable.
All right, Ben Roethlisberger calling you out. Better throw up or shut up next week, I guess.
True.
All right. Well, I think we all want to get to know you on a more personal level here. We want to know what goes through your mind on a Sunday morning. What's happening? You're waking up. You're setting your lineup. Walk us through your Sunday morning routine.
Typically wake up around 11:30 a.m. Do a quick 20-minute prayer, hoping that the ESPN Fantasy app will work this week.
Sure.
Then after that, I'll tell you what, Ben, I have to leave the house. I can't stay here with that trophy looking at me without my name engraved on it. Did you know I've never even watched a minute of this season?
Wow.
I haven't watched any of it.
Wow. Unorthodox stuff. Unorthodox. Well, I guess that's what it takes to be coach of the week. All right, to wrap it up here, great coaches throughout history. Bill Belichick, Vince Lombardi. Simplistic mindset. I think that holds true throughout all great coaches here in history. Let's hear your coaching style in 3 words or less.
Score more points.
All right. From the man himself, score more points. I'll say that's pretty simplistic. Hey, put her there, partner. Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. And now stay tuned for this week's Week 2 Power Rankings and Game of the Week.
Have you ever taken the advice of an ad telling you to use crack cocaine? Have you ever wondered, how am I going to bounce back from this? My wife and my kids, they're gone. Are you looking for a way to just fix it all? Well, try heroin. It's what you do when rock bottom just isn't good enough.
And we're back. It's time for Power Rankings. Let's get started. Starting with me, number 1. I jumped up 1 spot from the previous week. Thank you. Feels good. Followed by Chris. He jumped 2 spots. Nice work, Chris. And then there's James. He's ranked 3rd, and he went up 3 spots from the previous week. Next is Mark. He's down 3 spots. He had a bit of a rough week.
Hey, not rough week. Still in that top 4 playoff spot, though. Look for him to stay up there the rest of the season.
It's only week 2. You got time. And then there's Joey. He's up a spot. Nice work, Joey. Followed by Ben, biggest jump of the week. He went up 5 spots from the previous week. Way to go. Next is Mike. He didn't go up or down at all. He's equal from the previous week. And then there's John. Biggest drop.
Wow, John.
5 spots.
You're a disappointment.
That's rough. You know, he kind of deserves it after losing the game of the week, though.
I'll say, I don't feel any sympathy for you at all.
And then there's Brett. He's ranked 9th, but he still went up 1 spot from last week. Nice work. Followed by Nick. He's down 2 spots. Then there's Jeremiah down 2 spots as well. And we're ending with John, same as last week. You're still at the bottom. Let's see if he can make some changes and get up a little bit in the power rankings from here on out.
I'll say.
All right. Next up, it's the game of the week.
Woo.
This week it's Miller time versus Brown versus Board of Education. And what can I say? I'm 2-0, and I feel pretty good going into this week. I got the Brandon Cooks and the Drew Brees connection with the Saints.
Lethal.
They can go off, and when they do, it's deadly. Followed by my boy, Lamar Miller. I've been talking him up for years. Seems like this year might be the time that he finally breaks into Tier 1 running back rankings. I think he can do it.
I agree.
Next is Latavius Murray, another sleeper of mine. I was very excited to get him. He's been doing well so far. I'm hoping he can keep it up.
All right. I mean, hey, it's hard to go against the teams or the league's defending champion, but I'm really liking Brown versus Board of Education this week. I think Ryan's walking pretty tall right now. He's due for someone to knock him off, and I think Mark's team just might be the team to do it here. Just take a look at this lineup. It is just gorgeous. We have Aaron Rodgers, not quite what you expected of him in the first 2 weeks. He's coming into a 4-week stint at Lambeau. The dude's going to light it up. Packer fans will rejoice. Brown versus Board of Education fans will rejoice. Mike is going to rejoice. It's going to be a slaughter. Followed by the man himself, Antonio Brown. Really just one of the elite players in this league. The guy everyone wants to be, the girls want to be with. It's just crazy. This guy's going to put up catches week after week. It was a down week last week. That's not going to last. Everyone knows it. No need to discuss further. And I'm really liking Will Fuller. He was on the bench last week. Coach Mark Thompson might consider putting him in the starting lineup this week. Guy's a talented rookie. Really has some deep ball potential here. Really good complement to Hopkins in that offense. I look for Osweiler to hit Fuller early and often, going long on the deep ball. So I'm really thinking Brown Board is going to take it home, knock our league champion down a peg.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All right, and that's it. It's another episode of Fantasy Update on the Joey Marsh League Network, the only network where you can get 24/7 stats, tips, and updates on our fantasy football league. But remember, it's once a week. All right. I hope you all have a good week. Best of luck to you all, except for Mark. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.